Hello, welcome back to True Seekers Tea. My name is Kate, and today's reading is going to be looking at whether or not you should stay or go. Should you walk away from the connection that you have on your mind? There will be an extended reading. It's different for every pile, and it really depends on what's most helpful to you guys to go into deeper. So, of course, we have the three piles. For pile number 1, we have the You Are Magic Tarot with this rose quartz palm stone. For pile number 2, we have the Heart in the Hands Tarot with this clear quartz heart. For pile number 3, we have the Lost Soul Tarot with this red carnelian heart. I'm just hearing, this is really random. I don't want to influence anything, but I'm hearing a heart of gold here. But don't let that influence you. Sorry, I don't know. Maybe that did. But anyways, I will have the timestamps down below. As usual, I'll have the names of these decks if you guys are interested. Check out the new membership option that I have on my channel. I go through it in every pile, so if you want to click off here and not listen to this twice. But I am going to be opening up memberships on the channel that are really going to focus on videos that are guidance based and readings that are just fun to do. So check that out if you guys are interested in that. Other than that, I'll have my tip information down below if you guys are feeling generous. But some of the easiest ways you guys can support me is just through buying the extended readings. I really do appreciate that. But yeah, that's what I have for you guys, and I will see you at your pile. Hello, pile number 1. Welcome to your reading. If you chose the You Are Magic Tarot with this rose quartz palm stone, this is going to be a reading where we're going to be looking at, should you walk away from this person, from this connection, or is there a path forward? And if so, what's the guidance for you? So just some things to go over. I did want to mention that I have seen several comments from you guys saying that you want more non-love readings, and I really want to do them for you guys. To be completely transparent, I won't necessarily be able to afford to do them because not enough people really watch them and go to the extended readings. And while I don't want this to be about like income necessarily, but just in all like reality, I can't necessarily keep up with the energetic demands and trying to make it practically work in my life. So I am going to be starting out some memberships on YouTube where I'll be posting 2 exclusive non-love readings that the members will be able to vote on the topic every other week. So if you guys have really been wanting that, I'd love to have you as a member, or if you just want more readings, I would love to have you. So check that out, see if that would be something you're interested in. I'm excited to do it, truly. Other things are, my personal readings are open. I have a link in the description box and in the comment section. So just a couple of things, but so I am going to basically jump right in and see what Spirit has to say about what the guidance is here. Like, what is your guidance from Spirit on this connection? And that's going to help me figure out whether or not walking away is in your highest good, or whether or not there are problems that can be solved, essentially, or if things are going to shift, things like that. So I would say, as for an energy check-in, if what I'm explaining as the vibe I'm getting from the connection doesn't sound anything like your connection, I would choose another pile. Please don't. I think it's very important for this kind of reading to not take it on if it just doesn't sound like the dynamic that's going on in your relationship, because I don't want you guys to feel fear or feel unnecessary confusion, if you do have hopes for your connection and things seem to be okay. I wouldn't say that this is probably that wouldn't be the message for you then. So first and foremost, always listen to your intuition, guys. Like, that is so important. You will know if it's for you because it just fits, it flows. You don't have to second guess it. And even if there is like a message that you're not ready to hear, and that's why you don't feel like it's resonating, like, then maybe you're not ready to hear the message at the time, and maybe it's just planting a seed somewhere. And so even if your initial reaction is, I don't want to believe that, I guess that's kind of contradictory. I would say though, like, regardless, even if you do end up watching it and, you know, being like, no, that doesn't sound like it, like, over time it will be revealed whether or not you're not going to forget it, is kind of what I'm saying, even if it's subconscious. So just know that always listen to yourself first and allow things to unfold without feeling like you need to take action immediately. This is just meant to be an overall like confirmation of what you've known. And sometimes we just need someone else to speak it. So I'm still like that 100%. Because relationships are hard. Okay, so for pile number 1, Spirit, please allow me to channel the most honest and clear messages for the collective. Please come through for the highest good of all beings. Should pile number 1 walk away from this connection, please tell me what I need to know about the connection in order to discern this. Should pile number 1 walk away from the connection, what's the guidance for pile number 1 in regards to this connection? Or what is the truth of the connection? You can mix that with spirit as well, guidance, or with with guidance as well. Okay. What guidance do we have for pile number 1? Should they walk away? What do they need to know? Okay, we have the 6 of Pentacles in reverse. We have the 9 of Swords. We have the 2 of Cups with the 6 of Cups. We have the Page of Wands. Already, I'm kind of getting no to this. Because what I'm being tuned into is that with the 9 of Swords coming out, that usually is a situation where we're very much in our heads, in fearful thoughts, maybe projecting things that aren't necessarily gonna happen. It's kind of like the nightmare card, or when our thoughts really get out of hand. Anxiety, it's like anxiety where you're ruminating and you're feeling concern. And I feel like that is an intuition. And so I can tell that a part of the concern here is maybe being afraid that, you know, that this relationship is imbalanced, or being afraid that this person isn't going to give back to you. Or it's even possible that for some of you, you might be afraid that you haven't given enough. Take whatever resonates. But just with the 2 of Cups and the 6 of Cups here, this is a very strong connection. Yeah, I feel like this is a soulmate connection. You guys are on the same page. And with the Page of Wands here, I feel like there's still a lot that's going to unfold. And yes, there's a lot of unknowns in the situation, but it's meant to be a fun exploration where, you know, things might not unfold the way you exactly expect them to. So I feel like this could be a situation where there's a need to kind of release control, or like release stress that you need to do more, or that your person needs to do more, or else. Because I do feel like underneath maybe surface level situations going on in your life, I do feel there's a strong bond between the 2 of you, emotionally, energetically, spiritually. And with the 6 of Cups here, it's like there's just this feeling that you guys will always come back to each other, because the connection is too strong. But I feel like the main aspect that's unknown here has to do with the Page of Wands, and this maybe being like a new road you guys are walking down, or you know, the Page of Wands doesn't know exactly what the path ahead looks like, and there might be some challenges, or there might be some unforeseen challenges. But I feel like that's where this connection being as strong as it is, matters, you know, like that's where it's worth taking a chance on. It's worth, being brave and courageous and open-minded and optimistic. Like that's the Page of Wands. Sorry, I just need a sip of water. All right, can we clarify the Six of Pentacles in reverse for what's going on in the connection should they walk away? Yeah, we have the Ace of Cups with the King of Wands. So yeah, I feel like they're in the Sun here. Oh my gosh. And then the Five of Cups underneath that. So I do feel like there could be circumstances from the past, past disappointments. This could be, again, like a situation where you have regrets from your past, or like you feel like you didn't do things correctly. Or it could be a situation where someone else kind of let you down. And so now there could be some hesitation in being optimistic, but we literally have the Sun here, which is such a positive card. And it's a card that can really trump over like like not negative, but more pessimistic energies that are coming through. And so I do feel, I'm not going to take that, but I do feel like there's a need to, with the Five of Cups here, to stop looking at the past or stop looking at things that didn't work and having that block your vision from what's in front of you with the Two of Cups, because we literally have the Two of Cups up right here. This is Leo energy as well. And again, with the Page of Wands and the Leo energy, I feel like that's a card the Leo is associated with the 5th house, which is about like romance and fun and flirting and like dating and just like things being fun. And so I feel like that's what this is meant to be as of right now. But I feel like either way, if you are the person that has messed up in the past, I feel like with the King of Wands here, there's a need to trust in your vision and trust that you are doing enough. And you are, or if you are someone that has been let down by maybe people in your past not giving enough, not really having a vision for the future, this is a situation where you do have a true King of Wands that is someone that can make things happen. Like there's a confidence to them. There's a willingness to lead and step up and carry out what needs to be done in order to bring a connection into fruition. For some of you, it could be that this is a newer connection with the Page of Wands and the Ace of Cups. And so there's kind of this need to just trust that there is a lot of potential here. There is a strong connection, even soulmate with the Six of Cups. And again, with the Six of Cups, I do feel like this connection is meant to be lighthearted and playful, and it's like sweet, you know, like there's a sweet energy between the two of you of like kindness and sentimental energy. Or like, even if you don't know each other for that long, it's like you guys bring out a sense of family and a sense of innocence. So I feel like some of you could be, you know, like we can kind of lose our innocence in a way when we are hurt, or if we've hurt other people. It's kind of like our heart can close up a bit and we can have a harder time tuning into that like jovial part of ourselves. But I feel like this connection actually has the potential to be very jovial, and like I can see a lot of like laughter and like, again, like even if you aren't a super lighthearted person, even if this person isn't, like I feel like you bring that out of each other, where there's, you know, you can just have fun together and you can trust. What else for this connection, Spirit? What do they need to know? Yeah, we have the King of Cups. So, I mean, all signs point to yes, that this do not walk away. There's so much potential here. There's deep feelings. There's a strong personality. I feel like if this is your person we're describing, it's like there is true feelings here. And I feel like the feelings may run deep even if they're new. It's either that there are deep feelings, or like there's definitely this potential to get to a point where there are very deep feelings, and seriousness involved. and there's maturity possible. That's another thing I feel like is important to hear, that the person you're connecting with is capable of maturity, is emotionally mature. And so you guys, if this doesn't sound at all like your person, then this is probably not your reading. For some of you, this could be a future person. Maybe this is just for some of you, but it's possible that if you're in a connection that you know is like not healthy, it's possible that this connection is ahead of you, or you might be anxious that this isn't out there for you. Or you might be afraid to walk down a new path, you know? But I feel like Spirit's saying your soulmate is out there. And for some of you, I feel like there's already this new beginning starting up. And yeah, and I could also see with the Six of Pentacles, for some of you, you guys might be hesitant to give and open up. To give to connections, especially if you've experienced imbalanced connections, you know? And this could go either way. Like, I feel like it can be like that for someone who, it can be for both sort of masculine and feminine energies, where we can have the experience of being very open and receptive, or very giving and like open-hearted. And when we have that, our heart kind of broken like that, or, you know, like we end up realizing that the other person didn't care as much, or the other person wasn't as invested. That can make us like afraid to invest again. And that can make us afraid of vulnerability, and it can cause us to be a little bit cynical. But I feel like if you are the person that, I can see two sides of the story here, and this might be me picking up on, you might mirror each other in this way, but there is some hesitancy, almost because it's almost like if your person has made mistakes in the past, or like, let's say that they're afraid that they're not mature enough, or they're afraid that they're not ready to be the person they need to be, there's a message of they are actually ready. And so if things just move forward, it's going to unfold naturally. And I feel like if you're someone that's like worried about the partner not being mature, not being ready, because maybe of a past, or like, you know, whatever it is, they are very capable of that. And so it's not helpful to think very fearfully about the what ifs and the worst case scenarios, because there's potential for a positive scenario here. What else? We have the Ace of Swords. Yeah. I feel like this energy is saying you can trust this person. Like, you are seeing things clearly. Like, you don't have to doubt your perception or second guess the relationship. Like, there is transparency. There is truth in the connection. You are seeing things correctly, and there's not a need to second guess it. And I feel like also someone is being emotionally honest with you. Oh my gosh, this just like fell and popped out, but we have the Empress here. So it's like returning to being able to receive, and to not be blocked off, or not question someone. Like, almost like it can hurt our divine feminine, where we're just because it's like when we're hurt or we're not protected, we can close off that receiving energy. So I feel like there's this energy here of understanding that there might be fear around receiving for a lot of you. And if for some of you, it could be that there's a fear of not being enough, or not being able to give enough. Regardless, whatever one. What else? What do they need to know about this connection in order to know how to move forward? Yeah, we have the Star in reverse here. And then we have the Seven of Cups. I feel like Spirit is asking you to have faith, because the Star card here can really speak to kind of like a loss of hope, or like a loss of believing in your dreams, like not believe. Maybe some of you have become more cynical about love. Maybe it's been harder for you to be open to the possibilities here with the Seven of Cups, because I am getting the Seven of Cups here in a more positive light, where I feel like there's a need to be open to the potential for there being a very positive outcome. and being willing to dream of what you want for this connection and fantasize and allow yourself to go into that like manifestation energy. And Spirit's really encouraging you to go forward with hope, you know, and that's the best thing you can do. And I also feel like with the Seven of Cups, Spirit is kind of giving the disclaimer that some of you might be wanting absolute certainty or absolute guarantees, but I feel like it's important to remember how that can sabotage connections and how that can, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we've all experienced that where because we were like anxious or we needed to be in control almost, because we weren't willing to trust and just see what happens and let things unfold, we end up like taking action that isn't congruent with like love and isn't healthy for the connection, and it's more fear-based. And so I feel like Spirit's saying your best bet here is to be aware of any overwhelming anxious thoughts that don't really have a true reason besides maybe the past, or just like it's like it could be a mindset thing here. Because yeah, I do feel like Spirit's telling you like this is a fun new opportunity. It has potential to develop. But with all things in life, it's almost like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Yeah, and it's kind of like that lens of like, if you say no, it's like an automatic failure kind of. And so I feel like with the Seven of Cups here, I feel like Spirit's just asking you to be open to the possibilities and be open to not seeing it as, oh, like I can only move forward unless I'm 100% sure this like outcome is guaranteed positive, and to not go in also with the mindset of I am almost sure this is going to be negative, or I'm almost sure it's not going to work out. Do you see how that kind of can be different than the Seven of Cups? Because the Seven of Cups is all about like not knowing exactly what's going to happen. It could be this or that, and that's the interpretation I'm getting for it this time. But yeah, Spirit overall is asking you to trust in the connection, not question what you know to be true. Not question if this person says something to you, they mean it. You need to know that. They're honest in their intentions. And don't take it into overdrive where it's like you're second guessing this clarity that's already in the situation. In either way. So it's like, I feel like if you overthink it, you could start not seeing things clearly, where you could think it's doomed. Or also it's important to not like get ahead of yourself in fantasy, you know what I mean, and project things onto this person that aren't realistic, because I feel like that can happen sometimes when we get really excited about someone and then we imagine how things are going to unfold, and then we can think it's like a red flag, or we can think the person's doing something wrong if it doesn't happen exactly the way we're expecting it to. So this is one of those messages where it's like, go with the flow and allow the manifestation to come in, and don't have heavy expectations of how it's supposed to go every step of the way, and then feel upset if it doesn't turn out that way. And then don't become cynical the second it isn't, you know, the way you thought it was going to be, because it's the Page of Wands. Like, this is like a new adventure. It's kind of the unknown. And that's what like new relationships are, you know? So that's the overall message. I'm getting there's truly no reason to walk away at this point, because you don't know enough yet with the Seven of Cups. You know, we're only at the Seven of Cups. So don't prematurely decide what the outcome is going to be before things play out and before you have any reason to draw a conclusion either way. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's your guidance overall. I'm just going to get a couple oracle cards for finishing guidance. For the extended reading, we're going to be looking at what are this person's feelings for you? What do they hope for the future? Like, what is their ideal situation? And then we can see, let's take a look at any fears you're having that are not based in reality, just to kind of help you release them. So that will be for the extended. Thank you so much for everyone who supports me there or likes this video, leaves a comment. I really do appreciate all forms, or if you can send a tip, I have the like money info in the description box if you feel called to. But either way, I'm truly grateful to have you here. So we have Aquarius energy as well. But overall, this is a very genuine love opportunity. Don't overthink it, and try to stay out of your head and in the present moment. And I feel like there's also this guidance here of like, if you're really struggling mentally, I feel like it would be a good idea to just ask for clarity from this person about their feelings. Not in a way that's like, in a very neutral way, you know, just saying like, hey, like, sometimes I can get in my head. Would you mind just like clarifying like what you meant by that, or where you're at mentally? I don't want to pressure you at all. I just feel like that's sometimes what I need, you know? I feel like any person that has genuine intentions towards you shouldn't feel like that's too much to ask. All right, what finishing guidance do we have for pile number 1? Why do I have the fear that I'm not? Okay, no, we're good. It's the guidance for pile number 1 on this connection. Okay, we have door to personal healing and happiness. We have walking away. We have the 6th chakra. Then we have healer of the ages. I feel like you guys are going through, I feel like there's this overall message of you're initiating a lot of healing for yourself. I feel like, especially in regards to things you have had to walk away from, I feel like you are and have been healing and putting yourself first. I feel like you guys have successfully been pouring energy into yourself. For those of you, again, there's just this message here of, if this does not sound anything like the connection you're in, or you're not, this doesn't sound anything like it. Spirit's saying with the 6th chakra, in your intuition, you can trust what you need to walk away from. That's also true, like, is what Spirit's saying, is like, you will know what is in your highest good. Like, you're coming across as a very skilled, like you are in touch with your higher self and your intuition. So you know what you need to walk away from. You know what isn't serving your highest good. And so there's this message here of trusting that, learning to trust yourself and learning to see all the things you already have walked away from. So you can trust yourself and know that, let's say something does come up, and like, the reason why it's coming through this way is because you're meant to trust your intuition, not your anxiety, is what I'm saying. But also, it's going to help you to not feel like you need to walk away prematurely, but you'll know when it's truly time to walk away from something where that thing is actively draining you or causing you, like, from, like, because of actions they're taking or not taking, like, to a degree. You'll know in your spirit. But I feel like Spirit is saying, if there are certain times where your anxiety is getting in the way, I feel like Spirit's saying, like, that would be a really good time to turn to your own personal healing and your own mental health and your own self-care practice, before you necessarily would walk away from the connection. I just keep getting that message. But I feel like overall, Spirit's saying you really have the skills to trust yourself. Don't underestimate yourself. You can trust. If you're feeling something positive, you can trust it. And when you're in a clear state of mind, if something just doesn't feel right to you, like, you can trust that too. So I feel like Spirit's just saying, like, you're better with your intuition than you might know. Maybe you're just kind of learning to fully trust in it, even though it's been strong. And I feel like you've already walked away from certain things, because it feels like if you come to this reading with the question of, should I walk away? It's like, it feels like you're probably familiar with having to do that. And I feel like maybe some of you guys are here because it's like, it's just the pain. I get this. I relate to this personally. Like, when you've been tested a lot in love and on your path, it's like, it can be hard to be open-hearted to things because you're just like, is this something I'm just going to be hurt by and eventually have to like detach from and pull myself away from, you know? Because, you know, we know how like painful and hard that's been. But I feel like the message you need to hear is, I feel like you're just clearing out the debris of certain situations where you've had to do that. But I feel like you are at a new level of like personal growth. Like you've leveled up personally. And I feel that you are in a position to call in a true soulmate connection. So I feel like it's kind of like waking up from the nightmare of some of the negative karmic tests we all go through, and trusting that you have walked away from a lot of things. And it's not meant to be this cycle where you do it over and over and over again. You're learning each time that happens, and you're gaining wisdom. And so your intuition is going to be even better every time, even though, like, yes, there might be the debris of fear. But I feel like Spirit's saying also, you don't have to rush anything. Like, you don't have, if you can move at whatever pace feels right for you to open up and trust the situation. But I feel like what Spirit's saying overall is to not sabotage the connection or not like run away because of fearful thoughts. You know what I mean? So I feel like, yes, it's okay. We should never like just say like, don't have anxiety, because that's not like, I mean, I think I'm going to have anxiety the rest of my life. But it's just learning to cope with it better and go like, okay, you know, my soulmate or someone that really cares about me is going to love all of me. And like, if I have to open up and say like, I kind of deal with anxiety and like getting in my head, so I might just need this thing or that thing, or like I have this boundary or that boundary. I feel like this is a great opportunity to practice that. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it's situations in the past where we didn't have those skills or we didn't have enough self-worth to be vulnerable, or, you know what I mean? To not be perfect or we felt like we had to like people please or move at a pace that wasn't comfortable to us. You know what I mean? So I just feel like you're at this place where you really can honor yourself. And I feel like this is like maybe a little stretch, or like it's like a challenge, but I feel like Spirit's saying you're in the position now to handle this. Like, you know how to handle this. All you have to do is take some different actions. And so even when you're feeling afraid, you know what I mean? I feel like with the King of Cups here, this is also saying to really get in touch with your emotions and to not ignore them. Like, if you're feeling like the King of Cups is someone that's emotionally mature and doesn't allow their emotions to rule them and doesn't take action impulsively from their emotions. So I feel like there is a need to maybe sit with your emotions and like really work on those, like really embody maybe what you've been building up towards, like this King of Cups energy, male or female. It's like, for me, the Queen of Cups kind of represents a different energy, but the King of Cups is like this masterful, in control of emotion energy. And so I feel that you are capable of this. And so I feel like if you are feeling anxious, you know, just taking time to ask yourself why you're feeling that way, what's stressing you out. You know, sometimes when you actually just give it time of day or you write it down, it can kind of dissipate. Or it might be that there's like something that's been not sitting with you, you know what I mean? And like, it can be helpful to like communicate that early on, or like, you know, calmly. So maybe there can be some changes made, you know? I just feel like it's realizing that relationships really do require self-reflection, and for a real reason. It's almost like this message coming through from the universe that we're not meant to like, it's not like self-love and, you know, healing yourself first is like for no reason. Like, it's not like you, by doing that, you earn a relationship. It's like, no, by doing that, you are capable of a higher quality relationship, because it requires self-love in order to communicate properly, in order to honor yourself. Because if a person doesn't honor themselves, the relationship can't really work, or there will be a dysfunction, and eventually it can become unhealthy in certain ways. And so it requires that both people in the relationship are willing to have done enough work in healing where there's enough self-esteem and there's enough emotional regulation to be able to communicate effectively and to be reasonable and to know why you're, because I feel like the way like relationships can really go wrong is like when people are emotionally immature, they don't know why they're doing the things they're doing. It's like they might say something like very cutting, and then they don't like, and it's almost like because they're not really processing what's actually wrong, you know? And then they hurt the people that they're in relationship with, and it's like they don't even want to hurt them, but they are kind of it's like think about like a toddler throwing a tantrum and like throwing things and like crying, and it's like you know, it's not malicious, it's just like it's not healthy though. And I feel like to have a healthy relationship, you really need to be able to go within and figure out what's up, you know what I mean? So you don't take action that is sabotaging the connection. So that's the main advice that's here. Other than that, I'm going to go into the extended reading. Again, we're going to be seeing your person's feelings for you. We're going to be seeing what their vision is for this connection. Then we're also going to be seeing maybe what fears you're having that could not be based in, or like not based in reality, and this, not to like undermine them, but just to help you see more objectively, because it can be really hard when we're in our own head. Like, trust me, it's like a spiral situation usually. So I'll have that link down below. Thank you so much to everyone who does support me there. If you guys want a personal reading, I'll have it linked down below and in the comments. Again, check out the member option if you guys are interested in more guidance type readings or more fun readings. Like, I can do more readings that are about like what makes you attractive, or you know what I mean? So I'll probably do one of those in a month where it's like a more fun based reading, and then one that's more like maybe like shadow work or like guidance on how to move forward, what's going on in your life, what lessons are you learning, stuff like that. But really it's going to be whatever you guys want. So whenever you guys feel like it, if you guys are already interested in that, feel free to comment on this video like a topic you really have been wanting to see, and I'm going to start like writing all of them down and seeing which ones are commented the most, and then I'll put those in the poll for those of you that are going to join. So yeah, that's what I have for you guys. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave the comments, watch the ads if you guys are able to. Yeah, other than that, thanks so much for being here, and thanks for letting me read for you. Sending you guys love, and I hope to connect with you again soon. Hello, pile number 2. Welcome to your reading. If you chose the Heart in the Hands Tarot and this clear quartz heart, this is going to be a reading where we're going to be looking at whether or not you should walk away from the connection that you have on your mind. So what I'm really going to be asking Spirit is, I'm going to be asking them to give me the information that I need about your connection. What do you need to hear about the connection? What do I need to hear in regards to whether or not walking away makes sense, or is there potential for the connection? Yeah, so before I get into that, I do want to let you guys know that I am going to be turning on YouTube memberships. This will not affect anything for anyone that doesn't want to participate, but I have been trying to figure out a way that I can do more non-love readings. So readings that are guidance based, that can look at deeper topics into like what themes are you dealing with, how to move forward in a current situation, like are you on the right path, things like that, and then maybe deeper themes of what's your life purpose, and then I also want to do some fun readings around what do people find attractive about you, that kind of topic. And just to be transparent, I have had to figure out like how I can do that, because I only have so much time and brain power to do readings. Like they are honestly very mentally draining. Like I do love them, but just to be honest, like when I stop the reading, I'm like dead for a second. And so I can't necessarily just pump out more readings, or I'm going to try to do some additional ones, but I'll probably cut back a little bit on the channel. But the main thing is that I noticed that every time I've posted a non-love based reading, which honestly, I do really enjoy doing love readings. I do feel like they're really engaging and helpful. And I feel like we do learn a lot about ourselves through them. So just to be like, that's how I feel about it. And I think I've just gotten in the habit, to be completely honest, which is something I'm needing to break out of. But anyways, when it comes to supporting myself materially, other readings don't really do as well. And so it's hard for me to balance it all. And I wish that I had more energy. I wish that life was free, honestly. Like, I don't like charging you guys anything. I don't like that at all. But I'm just trying to keep up with my material life, my needs, you know. So that's what I'm gonna be doing, is turning on the memberships. And hopefully some of you guys will be interested in that, and I'm excited to do it. So I'm gonna be putting a poll every other week for what readings you guys want to see. So if you guys have been on that boat of really wanting more non-love readings, please comment down below what topics you guys have really been wanting to see, and I'm gonna be reading through them and seeing which ones are like the most popular, and then I'll create a poll for the channel members to vote on the week prior, and then I'll have it up in about a week after that. So yeah, so check that out if you guys are interested. I think I'll have it going by the time this video is posted. But yeah, so without further ado, let's get into the reading. So for pile number 2, Spirit, please tune me into the most honest and concise energies or answers that I can provide. Please allow me to speak concisely and honestly. Please give me information that is in the highest good for all beings. Ace of Pentacles randomly popping out. What should pile number 2 walk away from the relationship that they're contemplating? And also, you guys, as for an energy check-in, I would say if the energies I'm describing sound nothing like your connection, because in answering should you walk away, I'm going to be speaking about some of the current energies. So if it doesn't resonate, please do not take it on. I feel like this is the kind of reading you need to be extra discerning about. And if it's just bringing you extra fear and confusion, it's probably not your reading. This is really meant to be a confirmation for those of you that have been needing that. So, okay, that was a very long beginning part, Spirit. So should pile number 2, what do we need to know about this connection in regards to should they walk away? What is the truth of the connection as well? All right, we have the Chariot with Judgment in reverse, which is Cancer energy. Should they walk away? We have Death, Scorpio. And by the way, a lot of these answers are probably not going to be straightforward, yes or no. Should pile number 2 walk away? 3 of Pentacles with the 9 of Wands in reverse. I'm getting an interesting message already. With the Ace of Cups. Okay, so what I'm seeing is no. Interesting, because pile number 1 was a no with caveats, but what I'm seeing here for your connection, the Chariot is all about success, victory, being able to overcome obstacles, and being able to progress even in the face of challenges. I feel like what Spirit is saying is that this connection may require, though, a level of transformation and collaboration. So, in order for there to be collaboration, it feels like certain things do need to transform. There needs to be an openness to letting go of things that aren't working. And so that could be anything in your life. Like that could be maybe a person has really been needing to let go of a certain job that's a blockage for the connection. Or maybe someone is very used to an old, it's essentially about not being stuck in your old ways or being open to changes that honestly would be beneficial, but maybe aren't the most comfortable. And honestly, relationships can require us to maybe give up some of the old ways that we had that maybe worked better when we weren't in the relationship. Or even sometimes, even if it's not a brand new relationship, it's like, it's possible that the relationship could move forward, but the way it's been going needs to change. Like certain aspects of the relationship need to change. So I feel like instead of, this isn't like a 10 of swords where you're not able to overcome the challenges, but I feel like Spirit's saying with Judgment in reverse, there is a need for openness to reflection, honest reflection, and being willing to be self-accountable. So it's like, it's an energy of checking yourself where maybe you haven't really been in alignment with the truth or what's right. Checking where the other person hasn't as well, so you can kind of advocate for that. But it will require both people to be willing to look at their own shadow, or being willing to look at maybe certain things that they need to change that aren't working. You know what I mean? Like they need, sometimes like Judgment is about seeing the truth of things, because I feel honestly like what's blocking this connection, or what's the challenges in it, feel like there are things that actually need to be brought into judgment, that need to be assessed. There needs to be a wake-up call, It's like, so I feel like it's almost like this connection can actually be very positive individually for you guys, because the connection is working in a way that every time there's a blockage, it's calling us to a higher level of awareness and to reflect on what needs to change, or reflect on what we're not seeing clearly. And that's the only way things can move forward. So should you walk away, that would be easier. But I feel like what would be in your highest good is to take on the challenge of persevering and changing what needs to be changed, even if it's uncomfortable. I feel like with the 9 of Wands in reverse, there's a need to work together, you know what I mean? Like allow yourself to lean on the other person, be willing to take advice or support from the other person. I feel like the first message I got from this was being willing to put your guard down. But another energy I'm getting from it is like, it's almost like throwing in the towel sometimes with the 9 of Wands in reverse. It's like, this is clearly a situation that has its challenges and requires work. Like this isn't like an easy peasy, lightweight connection. Like this is something that requires transformation, requires truth and honesty and growth and leveling up personally. It requires perseverance, willpower. It requires effort to overcome. You know what I mean? And so I feel like with the 9 of Wands here, it's like, I feel like if you are individually feeling like burnt out, like you can't move on, Spirit's saying there's a need to open up to the other person. And I also feel like with Judgment in reverse, there's a need to be open-minded. I'm almost seeing, because like this is a very black and white deck, I feel like there's a need to be aware of any black and white thinking that is getting in the way of things, like trying to find creative solutions, seeing the nuances of situations it's like learning to see things at a deeper level. It requires more work to see things nuanced. You know what I mean? It's actually like a shortcut to go black or white. You know what I mean? It's this or that. But the Chariot is all about finding balance between the two opposites. So in this case, kind of black and white representing that. It's like the only way this can move forward is if we're willing to see where we're not taking into account the opposite perspective, or where we're imbalanced. It's like we're too far this way. Like we're trying to do things one way, and in order to get over the obstacle, we need to create. It's like if one horse in the usual chariot is overpowering the other one, it goes off course. It can't say its course. So there's this need to find equilibrium and shift what needs to be shifted. Make adjustments. And I feel like with judgment being in reverse here, it's about not just judging things too quickly. It's about not being judgmental, like in a negative way. Because when we're judgmental, we cut ourselves off from alternative, like we need the other side. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes through collaboration of the other side, we actually are able to move forward. But when we're so stuck to our ways and we're so judgmental of an opposite perspective, that can limit us and prevent our victory. It's also similar to like when you aren't willing to work as a team, if there's someone that's like overpowering, like someone who needs to be in control, you know what I mean? That's also about control here. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm getting just like a lot of messages at once. But what I'm seeing is that there could be you or your person, maybe you guys both have this trait of being a little bit stubborn or being the one who wants to be in control, and isn't really willing to change, or can kind of get in their ego or be attached to, no, we're doing things my way. You know what I mean? And also, not only are we doing things my way, your way is stupid. You know what I mean? That's no way that the relationship won't work that way. Just like in a team project, if one person just takes over everything because they want to do it their way and they want to control it, like that's not gonna be as helpful as collaboration on a group project. Like that's a great way to do things in life. Like sometimes that chariot energy of being in control and being responsible for your victory and like persevering and pushing through, on your own, it can be a really great trait in life. Like that is a really good thing. You know what I mean? Like people can be very driven, and like that can create a lot of success in life, to be very strong and opinionated about the way you do things and being very confident and like steadfast, even in the face of obstacles or in the face of other people giving an alternate opinion. Like I'm kind of getting that energy where it's like, maybe there are two people that are very like set in their ways or self-assured and successful and have found a lot of success in their life. Or maybe you're just dealing with a person that's like this, or maybe you're like this. It doesn't matter. But the way this connection isn't something that needs to be walked away from. It's actually challenging one or both of you. And it could also be this, sorry, I just need to explain. It could be that there's one overbearing person, or there's one person who always needs to be in control, and that person needs to transform, or it needs to be open to making changes that take into account the other person. So then the other person doesn't feel like they aren't respected or like they don't have any power. You know what I mean? Like it could be a situation like that where there's one person that always has to do things the other person's way, that doesn't feel like they get a say, or like doesn't feel like they can get the other person to see their perspective or see the wrong in their perspective. Yeah, I'm just getting a very stubborn energy coming from somewhere. But I am also feeling like it could be two people that are stubborn and clashing, or it could be that there's this pattern of the relationship where one person is always accommodating the other person and is always making changes for the other person to prevent that, or like just to not have to maybe deal with the struggle with the other person. You know what I mean? Like it's like some people can make it very miserable to disagree with them or try to like, put their idea out. It's like if they feel like they're going to be judged, or they feel like it's like not going to be respected, like that can just cause a person to be silent. But I do feel here, like if that's the case, I'm hearing with or without you. I can't live with or without you. That might be how it feels right now. especially in the situation, because it's like, it's maybe the situation where you have a lot of love for this person with the Ace of Cups, or you have like there is a strong connection, but something needs to change. It's not working. But it might also feel like walking away doesn't feel right either. You know what I mean? Like, I can't live with or without you, you know? So that kind of might be the situation. But either way, I'm seeing that maybe for one person, they're needing to let their guard down and not be so defensive and not be so, you know, yeah, it can be like a wall building energy, or very closed off. And it's not a collaborative energy. Let's say that. And it's usually an energy though that has weathered a lot, that has been through a lot. And so it's very possible, like, again, I want to give the credit to one person, like, and I feel like you would see that. And that might be what makes it hard, is that like, there are really good aspects of being with someone, or being someone with the Chariot energy, with the Nine of Wands, someone who's always hasn't relied on anyone, you know, like, it's a very hyper independent energy though, where it's like, I don't care what you think, I'm going to do it anyways. I'm not going to let you get in my way. I've overcome, like, they're going to overcome it no matter what, no matter who stands in their way or what. But when it comes to love, it's like, that isn't really going to work. And so I'm just seeing here that the situation calls for more collaboration and bringing like more love in the situation. But also with the Ace of Cups here, Spirit's saying there is potential for renewed love in this, but it does require putting your guard down for maybe one or both of you, being open to change, being open to see the errors of your ways, being open to that. Like that's the only way though. But I feel like also there could be a message here of, there might be someone that is like dealing with someone that could be more stubborn like this. And like, maybe they have kind of been at their wit's end and feel like they want to give up because they just feel like they don't want to battle the other person, you know? I could see that being a situation too. And so either way, Spirit's saying, if you're the person that just kind of wants to throw the towel in because you just feel like you can't get another person to balance out or see your point of view or see the error in their ways because they're too stubborn, they won't change, they won't take your help or guidance. I just am seeing the potential for someone like being like, I am throwing the towel in. Like, I can't do this. I can't battle with you. I don't want to be in a relationship where I'm battling someone, where like there isn't just like this mutual support. And I feel like this could also be someone though that like gets a lot done or does a lot. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe they take on a lot of responsibilities as well. But I just think it's becoming taxing, like the lack of adaptability and the lack of receptivity and flexibility, maybe even sometimes the lack of like respect for the other person, or just like maybe even like there could be a situation where someone isn't even trying to be disrespectful or rude, but they've just learned to be this way throughout their life, like every man for himself, you know what I mean? Like there just could have like certain like ways of being that are hard to give up. But yeah, I'm seeing though that if there's someone that feels like throwing in the towel, there is going to be a need to stick out some of the challenges. Like I feel like that might make you feel like you're the Nine of Wands, where it's like, oh my God, like maybe someone needs to put up their boundaries, needs to hold their ground, needs to say like, and so that might be the challenge for someone here, is that they need to be heard and they need to demand accountability and demand balance in order to move things forward and demand change. Like, I'm not budging from my position, because someone maybe is very used to just giving in to pressure too. Because I'm almost seeing, like, I just get this energy. Like, I feel like I've been on both sides of this sometimes. I feel like as a kid, I was a little more stubborn and probably wore people out to get my way. And I just didn't really understand how frustrating that was, or how negative that could be. And I've also been on the side of like going with the flow to such a point though, where like it's just not even worth the battle. You know, it's like, you just give in to someone because it's not worth the battle. It's not like, you know, they're going to be so stubborn and like intense about it that you're just like, whatever, you know what I mean? But I feel like either way, there's a need for collaboration, for there to be this love renewal or a new, like, in order to make this work essentially. And so it requires the one person, if there is someone who's like always giving in, to kind of flip this around and go, no, like, I'm standing my ground. Like, I'm willing to work this out with you. Like, I'll stay, but these are the terms and conditions, and I'm walking away if you don't take accountability or you don't, because it's like this person needs to be in the hangman energy. Like, the hangman energy is all about surrender and seeing things from a different perspective and recognizing that maybe you need to do things differently. That's like kind of what's needed here. I do see the 10 of Pentacles at the back of the deck right now, though. So I do feel like this is a situation that has potential with some adjustments. And so the advice would be, if you feel like you're the one that's maybe that like is refusing to be collaborative or refusing to change their ways, the advice would be to not walk away stubbornly because you don't want to change. It would be to be honest about your behavior and make some adjustments, make some changes, see things more nuanced, see where you actually have been wrong, see where this person has been right, and give them that credit. Oddly enough, I just was watching, what's it called? Wednesday. And I feel like there was kind of a dynamic like this going on where the friendship between them is one where like Wednesday is always going to do things her way and like kind of makes choices. Oh, that could be another thing, is that someone is always making choices for the other person. You know what I mean? It's like that energy of like a domineering energy, but I'm not getting an overly domineering. It's more like they're not intentionally like being that way. They're not trying to control. They are just afraid of giving up control because of their own fears and their past experiences. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, in what's kind of going on in season 2, I don't think this is that bad of a spoiler, but if you guys haven't seen it yet, because it just came out literally yesterday, well, maybe you guys have, I don't know, whatever. Maybe you guys aren't even interested in watching it, but either way, it's like the season 2 is kind of about Wednesday seeing in what's her name? Enid? I've never like not know Enid. I don't know, whatever. The blonde girl that has all the colors. And it's like they couldn't be more different, you know, because Wednesday's all black and white and isn't very, they're kind of serious, you know, like there's an energy of like no BS. It's kind of Saturnian, you know what I mean? Like there's no time for fun. And maybe one person in the connection is a little bit more feminine, and like that might be the more masculine energy, and like one of them might be more feminine and might like be a little bit more silly, but like, and so then maybe they're not taken as seriously or something, or like there's just this like assumption that like the Wednesday person is always going to be making the plan, and it's almost like a sidekick. It's almost like there's an energy here where there's like a main person and then there's a sidekick, and that isn't like a balanced connection, you know. And so I feel like, and it made Enid feel like Wednesday doesn't value her, like Wednesday doesn't love her, or like she sees her negatively, or like judges her for her differences and thinks she's ineffective. And like, I feel like, you know what I mean? It's like she's kind of getting it, unless she stands her ground and gives Wednesday a little bit of her own medicine, Wednesday's going to continue that, you know? And so it's kind of like that. And I'm kind of seeing it this way where there could be something like that going on. All right, what else should pile? Okay, read the King of Wands. Yeah, I feel like there is a character here that's has a vision and likes to be in the lead. They like to be a leader. Like, but I like that the King of Wands isn't coming up in reverse, because I feel like this could be a situation where someone isn't as aware of to what deep degree it's making another person unhappy in the relationship, because it does feel like there is a good intention behind it. And it also feels like with Judgment in reverse that I don't think this person is super aware that their behavior is problematic sometimes, you know what I mean? Or that it seems to be like they're kind of unaware. And I feel like this is someone who's very confident, very charismatic, like very like, it's like all the fire signs, you know, like Leo and like Aries and Sagittarius, like especially Leo and Aries though, can be very, this is what I want. And like, I'm confident in my plan. And like, if someone else isn't as confident, they can get kind of overshadowed by the energy. And it's like possible that, yeah, like someone's vision or someone's needs and wants aren't really being in the pursuit. Maybe someone is so focused on their own pursuits as well that they're not realizing that the relationship is needing love and care. Yeah. Okay, what else? Should pile number 2 walk away? Or what's going on here? What else? We have the Princess of Wands, the Page of Wands in reverse. Oh, that's, yeah, the Princess. Okay, so unfortunately I just ran out of battery and I already finished the whole reading. But I do feel like everything happens for a purpose. I'm just going to put down the card that was last place, which is the Princess of Wands or Page of Wands in reverse. And then I'm just going to lay out the rest of the cards and kind of get into it. So we also got the Three of Wands in reverse with the Empress in reverse on top. And then we have the Queen of Pentacles here. And then the Lovers at the back of the deck. So we have Gemini energy. Anything else? Scorpio, Cancer. I think I already said that. But okay, so going on from what I was saying, I'm definitely seeing that this King of Wands in the connection is in this energy of like, it's almost like they have their blinders on and they're just focused on their goals and like moving forward. They just want to keep moving forward. And especially they could just always kind of be focused on their vision or success in whatever, like in their career, their interests, their passions. And so it's almost like that is something that is creating like a blindness to, I feel like, this Queen of Pentacles state of being. And maybe it's even possible that the Queen of Pentacles feels a little bit neglected or unappreciated for all that she does and all that she brings to the table. You know, it's like, it's because the Queen of Pentacles can oftentimes be not as loud, because it's like they're taking on the tasks that can oftentimes go unnoticed, or but it's a very hardworking energy. It's just different than like the King of Wands, where it's like I feel like their success and their they're a little bit more in the spotlight, and there can just be more focus on the big things that the King of Wands is doing. The Queen of Pentacles power more comes from like the day-to-day consistency and the reliability, and she maintains everything and you know, like takes care of all the small things that are needed. But like, and I feel like that's something that they do, and then the King of Wands gets to kind of focus on maybe their career goals or like their purpose in life, you know, stuff like that. But it's like they rely on the Queen of Pentacles for the foundation that they provide. Like the King of Wands couldn't King a wand as hard, I feel like, without the Queen. Or like they should see that the relationship, I don't know. I see the value of both of these energies in the connection, but I do feel like the Queen of Pentacles is feeling unappreciated, and actually so is the King of Wands. And let me explain why that is. I feel like there's this energy of things not progressing or being dissatisfied or feeling like you're going in a circle with something, because it does feel like there's the same problems over and over. And it's like we just keep going down the same situation, and we never progress. Like we don't get the expansion we want, because it's almost like we're not transforming with the Death card, and I'll explain. But it's like I'm seeing that from the Queen of Pentacles perspective, because they may be the more less domineering is even the wrong word, the less dominant, there's a more subtle energy with the Queen of Pentacles. I feel like they just kind of, it's like that, and I'm seeing like the beaver and the bee from the archetype deck, the animal archetype, and both those have to do with like homemaking and building the foundation and putting in, you know, steady work every day. But like when it goes into shadow, it can feel like overburdened and unappreciated. I'm also, what else am I seeing? I'm seeing the sustainer energy. Yes. Oh my gosh, I have such a good way to describe this. It's in this deck and I happen to have it right here. So what we have is we have a creator energy, we have a sustainer energy. Let me just find them. It's worth it. So I'm going to first talk about the sustainer. So the peacekeeper, the upholder, the preserver. The sustainer, the second archetype in the trio of existence, works behind the scenes, tending to take the tasks of life. They cultivate gardens, pay bills, keep the meals warm, and the mouths sweetly fed. The sustainer is at peace in the process of life, knowing there's no start or finish to humble yet meaningful tasks. They have a natural inclination to nourish others, to archive, to preserve Earth's resources, to consider environmental impact, to see their role in the divine cycle of life. It's common for the sustainer to become overworked, leading to resentment. And I feel like that's what's happening. Their tasks aren't glamorous, and therefore the sustainer rarely receives the credit or attention. The sustainer longs to hold things in place so badly, especially relationships, that they resist necessary change. Yeah, and that's what I'm getting with the death card. Take time with this archetype. It is within all of us and needs our love. So when it's in a light energy, it is abundant, generous, supportive, reliable. When it's in shadow, it's overworked, resentful, trapped, and tired. Oh, this is actually important. So we have an energy here of take note of the difference between maintaining and sustaining. Which action describes your life more accurately? And I do feel like in this connection, the Queen of Pentacles may sometimes feel like they're just maintaining the connection. They're maintaining the status quo. They're not causing challenges. There may be a conflict avoidance as well. But I feel like because the work that they're doing is maybe less showy or big, it's almost like I'm imagining a lot of small things that are really great. And then like the King of Wands may bring to the table like they got like a huge successful bonus at work or something, you know what I mean? And they're recognized for it, and you celebrate when you come home, and like maybe they provide in some way, or even the King of Wands like might have a lot of attention on them for their successes and like what they've created in their life. And so they've really had their success and like their life purpose validated for them. And I feel like the Queen of Pentacles can end up feeling, and this doesn't have to fit to a T, but this is what I'm seeing, is like the Queen of Pentacles has begun to feel like they're just maintaining, like they're not thriving. Sustaining is like, we can keep going in this direction. Yes, it requires work, but it's a system that is sustained. Versus maintained is like, it's almost like it's like extra work you're doing that can only go on for so long. And so I just feel like there's a lack of fulfillment and progress. Yeah, it's like because this Queen of Pentacles is not feeling appreciated or recognized, like she's feeling a little bit like unglamorous. It's just that energy of like, okay, like I've been working all day or I've cleaned all day, and like you just take for granted that there's a clean room that you're in, or that I made this food. And it's like, because you get it every day, like you might forget that I'm doing all of that. And so maybe it's like they need more recognition, they need more respect, like they need more attention, maybe they need more help. Maybe they don't want to keep doing all the tasks that they're doing. But either way, there's just this feeling of, for the relationship in general, like a lack of like progress. It's like sustaining, where it's like we're gradually improving and it's a sustainable system. Instead, this feels like we're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and we're not expanding. Like this doesn't seem to be growing. Like the relationship isn't growing. And the Empress can talk about that too in reverse. It's like, it feels like there's there's a seed here, and like imagine that being the love between you, but it's come to a point where it's almost like it's not fertile ground anymore. Like it doesn't naturally grow. It's like a strain to like, it's almost like, imagine that you're doing work so like the seed doesn't die, but it's like not growing. You know what I mean? It's not getting better. We're doing the same thing over and over, and it's making us feel discouraged. And like all of it's too much. And like it's just been a lot of a challenge. And so I feel like what Spirit is saying, oh, let me go to the King of Wands first too as well. I feel like the King of Wands may have the bad habit of taking for granted what the Queen of Pentacles does. And maybe like it's almost like they take for granted the foundation that's actually sustaining them, while they put so much of their focus on their goals. And like they're just, and it's not to say that the goals aren't something that's meant to also provide for the Queen of Pentacles, but I do feel that the pursuit of success on this King of Wands side has kind of caused them to stop, and it's like they're so focused on where they're going that they're not really looking around and seeing how things are going. Does that make sense? There's this like energy of like in this forward always looking forward, never really pausing to see what's going on around them a little bit. Like there's a little bit of a tunnel vision and sort of like a self-absorbed energy, but like not necessarily a bad way, but like in a way that's like they're so focused on what they're working on or what they're trying to achieve. And if the Queen of Pentacles fell off the map, that would completely derail this person's ability to keep going the way they're going. But it's like this silent thing that they're not realizing. And so every day they really should be grateful for the Queen of Pentacles and aware of maybe what they need, you know, like I feel like it's almost like because they're putting all their focus towards their achievements or like, you know, their victory and success. Sorry, I just need a sip of water. They're not taking time, because judgment is all about looking backwards and assessing our behavior, assessing someone else, you know. It's and like that's what's needed to close out a cycle and start a new one. But I almost just feel like there's this lack of reflection or this lack of awareness kind of going on with the King of Wands, and that is harming morality. That is building up resentment. That is making the Queen of Pentacles feel not loved. They don't feel loved. And I feel like the King of Wands just thinks the Queen of Pentacles is perfectly happy. And like, so they don't really like focus on them. And it could also be like the King of Wands could have like huge issues going on, or like they have all these things, these big high tasks that they have to focus on. And so I feel like I could see the Queen of Pentacles like frequently you know, give it like making an exception. Like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to help me clean up. I know you're stressed with this. I know you're focused on that. I just want you to be able to focus on that. And like, so there is that like other thinking with the Queen of Pentacles, but I feel like it would take like a crisis for the King of Wands to like actually start noticing the Queen of Pentacles. And so I feel like it would be nice from the King of Wands to be more aware and subtle. It's like, it's almost like they miss the subtlety. So it's like, it could be that the Queen of Pentacles says, you know, it'd be really nice is like if we got this item, or you want to know what would really help me is this. Do you want, maybe I want to go here. Maybe I need to like all these different things that they might kind of casually bring up. But it's like the Queen of Pentacles doesn't want to burden the King of Wands because they know they have a lot of stuff they're doing. However, then, the King of Wands goes ahead and does that. You know what I mean? And then there's this lack of cohesion, this lack of true teamwork. And it's almost like the Queen of Pentacles begins to feel like the Empress in reverse and feel like they're questioning their own value. Like they're not valued in life. Like, you know, because they're not receiving what they're not receiving. They might receive something, but they may need more. You know, they may need more to keep going, to sustain their efforts. Because it's like, it feels like there's always an accommodation made on the Queen of Pentacles side, not as much for the King of Wands. And I feel like this isn't intentional, because with Judgment in reverse, I feel like that's what the Queen of Pentacles needs to know, is that this actually is not intentional. And I feel like what's important here with the Judgment card is if the Queen of Pentacles is like feeling so frustrated in the relationship because they don't know how much. It's like the same thing keeps happening over and over, where they maybe get neglected and make accommodation or are understanding for the King of Wands. I feel like the Queen of Pentacles needs to protect their Queen of Pentaclehood, you know, and not let them become like the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. It's like maybe they're not taking care of themselves as much. Like maybe they're self-sacrificing, you know, and like there's a need with Judgment here to go, okay, like I need to be honest, like this isn't working. I need to stop neglecting myself and not loving myself enough. I need to stop putting this person above myself. Ahead of myself. Just because what they do is in the spotlight, just because they maybe do have really important roles, like I have to recognize that my role is important and I can't keep going unless I receive more, or unless certain things change, unless they make some accommodations, unless they create better work-life balance or something like that, or whatever they're always focused on. So overall, I just feel like the Queen of Pentacles is needing to feel more loved in the connection. And I also want to say that I could see there being a potential for, because the Queen of Pentacles gets so overworked and like they can become resentful, and maybe like, but because they're trying to not demand any, they don't want to derail the King of Wands. Like it's almost like this energy of like trying to make themselves smaller, or going, I don't really need that. I don't really need this need to be met, or I don't really need to set that boundary because that's going to inconvenience them. It's like the Queen of Pentacles needs to start really prioritizing themselves, self-love. They need to make sure that they're filling up their own cup before they're making sacrifices, or they're being like, before they're just like, it's like, it just feels a little bit one-sided, where it's like the Queen of Pentacles is always the one that seems to be in the team mindset. And it almost feels like the Queen of Pentacles is put on the back burner for the King of Wands. Even though the King of Wands really does love the Queen of Pentacles. And if they did slow down for a second, they actually realize that their whole life kind of depends on them, depending on where this connection is. But all in all, with the Lovers here, I feel like it's important that this connection doesn't continue to dysfunction, because there needs to be change. Like there's a need for, and I feel like the Queen of Pentacles, again, like they may be very attached to the status quo, even if the status quo is depleting them. And so they need to get out of their comfort zone and go, okay, like this needs to change. I need to stand up for myself. I need to be heard. I need to be accommodated for. I'm worthy of that. I deserve it too. I've been doing too much. I'm not picking myself. I'm not being loving to myself by being loving to you. And so something needs to change, period. For this to go on, for there to be a potential for things to keep growing, because like it is, it can't. So I would say, if you're the Queen of Pentacles, make sure with the Lovers here at the back of the deck that you are making decisions that honor yourself, that are loving to yourself. If you want to do something for this other person, or you're going to make a choice in any moment that seems loving to the King of Pentacles, but it's harmful to you, you have to see that that is a problem. That is something that you need to change. With the King of Wands, I feel like they need to recognize when they are making decisions that aren't even taking the Queen of Pentacles into account. Like they need to be more aware and supportive of the Queen of Pentacles. Like they should be worshiping the ground that the Queen of Pentacles walks on, because she does so much, or he or she, you know, it's like he couldn't be, it's kind of giving like a man would be nothing without a woman or a girl. You know what I mean? It's like they deserve to not be on the back burner. Like, you know, it's just kind of like that. Like, and I just feel like although there's good intentions, there needs to be an awareness of a lack of other, not being aware of their partner. Like that's something they need to be accountable for, and that's something they need to work on. They need to work on taking the Queen of Pentacles needs into account, instead of just always assuming that it'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of imagining, like, I don't know, like imagine that the Queen of Pentacles had a really busy week, and, you know, they kind of made it clear that they're exhausted. And then imagine that the King of Wands invites over some like colleagues for dinner and expects the Queen of Pentacles to cook everything. That's a lack of loving, that's not a loving choice for the connection. So that's what's really needed. And I do feel like there is potential for this connection. Oh, and you know what I'm seeing as well is that a situation could come up where, because the Queen of Pentacles hasn't really been choosing themselves and maybe hasn't been standing up for what they need, or they've been making too many exceptions, they're resentful, and that might come out like with like biting comments, or like not being in a good mood, you know what I mean? Or just like not even wanting to celebrate the King of Wands sometimes. It's like, yeah, good for you, you know? Or, you know what I mean? And then the King of Wands might mistakenly feel unappreciated themselves, you know what I mean? But here's another issue, is that I could even imagine the King of Wands feeling unappreciated if the Queen of Pentacles like starts to really decide that they're not going to keep up with everything they've been doing. It's like, okay, but like I've been focusing so much on these goals that are meant to benefit both of us. Like, do you not appreciate, why would you not do that? So there could be this pressure, kind of unfair pressure of like, I don't know. It just feels like imbalanced, and it's in a way where it's equally imbalanced. It's like a mirror opposite, where one person is not aware of the other person enough, and the other person is too aware and not enough aware of themselves. So the Queen of Pentacles needs to be more aware of themselves and honoring of themselves. The King of Wands needs to be more aware of the Queen of Pentacles, less aware of themselves, take attention away from their pursuits, their goals, their focus, and turn it towards the Queen of Pentacles. And maybe sometimes they should just automatically do things that support the Queen of Pentacles. Like, God forbid, because I almost feel like the Queen of Pentacles is always anticipating what the King of Wands needs, but the King of Wands is always missing the cues of what the Queen of Pentacles needs. So at the very least, if they don't have the same kind of intuitive ability, it's important that the King of Wands at least try to be more aware of what bothers them, and don't make it a situation where they have to become resentful and angry before you take something into account. Because I feel like the Queen of Pentacles will probably mention something several times in like a gentle way, and the King of Wands continuously disregards the importance of it. Oh, they'll be fine. Like, one more exception. They need to be more proactive in making sure the Queen of Pentacles is not struggling. So yeah, each person needs to change is what I'm getting here. And I feel like there's an ego thing as well with the King of Wands. Like, they need to admit where they're wrong. Even if I feel like there's an issue with the King of Wands where they think they have good intentions, but that doesn't mean issues aren't there. So they could be offended almost, like what they're doing isn't enough, or like, in, you know what I mean, like they're not enough or something. They might take it that way, like, but they need to actually be humble and go, oh, that's not what they're saying. Look at everything they've been doing. Like, look, you know what I mean? But yeah, I do feel like there's this energy of like the creator for this. Like, I feel like this person gets to be like, let me just say, so, blah, blah. They make the empty room resonate with healing sounds. They generate bounty from the seed that others toss away. Though generative, this archetype annihilates preconceived notions of what is possible, leaving unexpected openings in the wake of its destruction. That was another thing I was getting, is that I do feel like the King of Wands, like their talent, I feel like they are very creative, magnetic kind of a person, where they have this like creative vision. And like, I feel like they maybe had to do with a lot of scarcity in their life, or have had to overcome a lot of obstacles. So they are someone that is a very like high value person though. Like, I feel like they are someone that's good to have around. You know what I mean? They're very positive as well. Like, I feel like the King of Wands energy usually has this like lighthearted energy where they always think things can be overcome, you know? And I feel like they may start to think that the Queen of Pentacles is like pessimistic, or like raining on their parade or something. But, and it also speaks about, so yeah, it says the creator is naturally attractive and coveted as its energy zings with possibility. You can feel it when a creator type enters the room. All eyes land on them. And so I just feel like the King of Wands tends to be this like on front and center stage. They draw in a lot of attention. Their progress in life and like their determination, their success brings a lot of energy towards them. And so I just feel like it could even be possible that like they may just be very social as well, or like they might get caught up in people wanting to talk to them, or like they may feel obligated to kind of entertain people in a sense. And I feel like the Queen of Pentacles is kind of like in the backstage, you know, and just feeling like I'm not getting my cup filled. Like I feel like maybe the King of Wands gets a lot of attention and love and praise already by people around them, but the Queen of Pentacles doesn't get that, you know? So it's just that kind of vibe like I'm getting here. So it's about learning the lover's energy and creating harmony. Also making sure that your priorities are balanced, that, you know, there isn't like one person with all of their energy on this thing and then another person with all of their energy on that thing. I feel like each person in themselves needs to be a balanced little organism. Because here's the thing, the King of Wands ideally should be taking on more of the smaller tasks. The Queen of Pentacles ideally should have some more time to be social and to dream of what they want to create in their life, to think about their vision, to create, you know? They need to balance out some more passion in their life. And I feel like this person needs to be a little bit more grounded and realistic sometimes. And that would help them recognize when they're really pushing the limits of the Queen of Pentacles. And they may say no to more things. I feel like the Queen of Wands might, or the the King of Wands might have a hard time saying no to things, or recognizing when they need to slow down, or like it's not sustainable anymore. And so, yeah, either way, there needs to be transformation individually and for the connection to move forward. I would say if you're the Queen of Pentacles and you make the transformation you need, and over time, this person isn't changing or isn't willing to do things differently, even after you've expressed what you need, expressed your limits and boundaries, and you're sticking to them, if they become resentful or weird, I'd walk away. If you were the King of Wands, I just doubt that you guys are, but like if you are, it's okay. Either position is fine, but I would really need to see where that requires a big ego death. Like it requires being willing, even if you're someone who's putting in so much effort and overcoming so many obstacles, it doesn't mean you shouldn't have to change your ways or like transform or change things. You know what I mean? I feel like they can get kind of stuck on their path and like stubborn about things. And it's like, in order for there to be transformation and rebirth, it's like there has to be a willingness to reflect and put a pause on things and see where we need to make changes, and just be humble and willing towards that. That's going to do great things for the connection. I also feel like if the King of Wands wanted to ask anything at the Queen of Pentacles, it would be, please don't self-sacrifice for me. Please let me know when you've reached your limit, and please let me know if you need something you're not getting, and then be responsible for that. Don't avoid it. Don't just kind of skirt around or just push it off, because that's not right. So yeah, I would say this relationship doesn't need to be walked away from, because there can be a rebirth, but if it doesn't change, it does need to be walked away from. Yeah, so that's what I'm seeing. Although I would say it will be unfortunate if you guys decide to walk away out of like it not working, because I feel like the same habits might reappear in another relationship. Or you might get an inverse where, like, I don't know. I'm just saying it's kind of good when you're in a situation that can be overcome and can have a rebirth, to do that inner work and see if you can make it work, because you're going to learn so much through that. And like, eventually you're going to have to make those changes anyways. So yeah. Also, I just want to add in, just for some additional nuance, I really feel like what shifts are needed, or what issues can kind of come from this dynamic, are the King of Wands being used to dictating the direction of things, being used to making the decisions, assuming that the Queen of Pentacles is always okay with kind of following their lead and being the more passive person. Because they're not the, like, obviously, like, the Queen of Pentacles isn't their dominant energy, isn't the creator energy. And I feel like it's like, I feel like the King of Wands can be very like passionate about their ideas and really want to move forward on them. and maybe they don't really take into account the preferences of the Queen of Pentacles. And I feel like the Queen of Pentacles is kind of just used to following their lead or giving in, because like they don't want to have to challenge someone that's so like hell bent on something, or it's like because maybe they don't have as strong of a preference or a vision for what they want, they may just like get in the habit of not even giving their input at all, or just like, or if their input conflicts with what the King of Wands wants, or like they're like, oh well, that won't work with this because it's like going to conflict with my idea or my plan, they may quickly kind of go, okay, whatever, it doesn't matter that much to me, because that is true, but then they continually don't get their input adjusted for. And it's almost like the King of Wands can be so focused on their vision and like what they're trying to create that they're not really aware of, like, yeah, it might be a really good thing in general, but is it really tailored to the ideal situation for the Queen of Pentacles? Or do you just feel extremely excited about the situation because it inspires you? How does this vision or this goal or this idea or this choice or this direction, this plan impact? I might be really excited about it. I might think it's just like the most perfect idea on earth and feel so much momentum behind doing it. And I feel like oftentimes they may just make that decision or do that thing without really even questioning the Queen of Pentacles input. Meanwhile, I feel like if the Queen of Pentacles has something that they want to do or has some idea of something they want changed, I feel like the King of Wands is like literally probably 30% as helpful then. You know what I mean? It's almost like they're gung-ho for their ideas. But when it comes to something that's really important to the Queen of Pentacles, I feel like they're not really, they can kind of, maybe they don't like outright shut it down, but I feel like they may just like kind of hope that it goes on the back burner. And so that might kind of feel frustrating. So then the Queen of Pentacles doesn't really ever get their visions coming into fruition. And maybe some of the things that the King of Wands is doing, or the choice they're making, or plans, or just whatever it is, aren't making the Queen of Pentacles happy. Like, and when they tried to voice what they want, there was no compromise. It was like, well, what you care about is kind of a little thing. Like, I have the whole vision. You know what I mean? That's so like, you probably should just sacrifice that little thing in service of the whole vision. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, well, honestly, I bet the Queen of Pentacles sometimes feels like, well, honestly, I was just kind of, you know, just I didn't want to be like overwhelming, or like maybe the Queen of Pentacles didn't necessarily have this like rivaling idea of like how everything's going to work out, because they don't really work like that. But I feel like the Queen of Pentacles might have wanted to say no, no, that doesn't work for me. I know you're excited about it, but no. And I'm not further explaining. Like, sometimes the Queen of Pentacles gets to say, it doesn't work for me. And without having to compete ideas with the King of Wands. Does that make sense? Like, they have different ways of being. And also, I feel like the Queen of Pentacles is way more practical. And I feel like the King of Wands is consistently, rather than taking in the advice and the reality check from the Queen of Pentacles, it's like they can be so excited about what they want that instead they're like, oh, I'll overcome whatever challenge that is. But I feel like the Queen of Pentacles actually has a lot of good insight. And then I feel like over time, they just learn to not even try, or like they just kind of expect. And I just feel like it's something that like over time is really not great for the Queen of Pentacles. And it's not great for the King of Wands, because the Queen of Pentacles is serving a very valuable function. The Queen of Pentacles is equally valuable as the King of Wands. And I feel like sometimes the King of Wands neglects to recognize that. But with the Lovers here, this is speaking that we are equals. So we have an equal say in decision making, you know? And I just feel like there's this energy of like needing to surrender to certain changes that we maybe don't want to make, but like we need to make in order for there to be success in the situation. And I feel like there's also an energy here of like when things go wrong, or like things out of your control, it's like that's a good opportunity to go, okay, I actually have to make some changes, you know? Or also, it's an energy of not needing the universe to flip things on its head almost before you start being open to new ideas and problem solving, being open to being a student. I feel like also the King of Wands has a hard time being the receiver, being the listener, being the student. They like to be the teacher. And I feel like the Queen of Pentacles kind of underestimates their knowledge, underestimates their ability to lead and teach. But ultimately, relationships are about being equals, you know? It's not one person in the lead and one person not. It's like, okay, if one person's going to take the lead though, we don't sacrifice the other person's like input. You know what I mean? But yeah, the 10 of Pentacles is here. I do feel like with the Ace of Wands, it's like the 10 of Wands needs to be recognized that things can't go on that way. New inspiration needs to be brought in before this can really develop into the best case scenario. There's definitely learning to do. There's a need to go back to the drawing board about certain things as well. But yeah, I do feel like Spirit's saying like there are inevitable negative changes that are going to occur if you aren't willing to change first. Not to sound threatening, but that is coming through. And it's like there's only so much you can overcome is kind of what Spirit's saying without changing, without literally going, okay, this isn't working. And I could see like the King of Wands doesn't really want things to change because they kind of benefit from the system. And the Queen of Pentacles just has a natural comfort within the familiar and the same, doesn't like change. Even when that change would benefit them. So that's kind of this current situation. So that's what I'm seeing. For the extended reading, I want to see what each of these people are assuming falsely about the connection, and then guidance on what changes would be most beneficial personally and for the connection. And then I want to look at what the outcome is going to be if there are no changes made. So I'll have that link down below in the description box. Thank you to everyone who does support me through the extended readings. It does help me be able to prioritize creating more videos. Other ways to support and help me as a creator is just to hit the like button, leave a comment, make sure you're subscribed before you leave. And if you want a personal reading, I have my link down below. So thanks so much. It's truly been great to connect with you, and I hope to tune into your energy again soon. Hello, pile number 3. Welcome to your reading. If you chose the Red Carnelian Heart and the Lost Soul Tarot, then this is going to be a reading where we're going to be looking at whether or not you should stay or go in a particular relationship that you have on your mind. So, sorry, I just needed to grab an Oracle deck, but before we get into it, I do just want to mention that I am opening up memberships for the YouTube channel, and I'm doing this to mainly post readings that are more guidance based or more fun in nature, so non-love related readings. I have struggled to keep up consistently with those kinds of readings, even though I enjoy doing them, because whenever I post them, I get a lot less of interest in the audience, but I know there are people that specifically really want that. And so I feel like membership is probably like the best option for me to be able to feasibly do it while keeping balance in my material world, essentially. And so I only have so much energy really to put out these videos, energy and time. So if you want to just support me or you're interested in those kinds of readings, I would love to have you as a member. So I'm pretty sure I'll do a post about it before this video comes out. But yeah, I just wanted to mention it to anyone that misses that post. But yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited to do it. So anyways, let's get into the reading. Get a sip of water. So we're going to be looking at seeing if this is a relationship that can improve, that can go the distance. You know, are the challenges that you're experiencing or the doubts reason to walk away? Or especially for those of you that maybe are feeling on the fence or just need reassurance about a connection. Spirit, please allow me to channel the most clear, concise, honest messages for the collective, and please make sure that this information is for the highest good of all beings. Thank you. Please tune me in now to pile number 3's connection that they are asking about. Should they stay or go? What is the truth of the connection? What is the dynamic? Please help me give this guidance. All right. We have the 5 of Wands. We have the Page of Wands. We have the Queen of Swords in reverse. Seven of Pentacles in reverse. Can we clarify the 5 of Wands, please? 10 of Pentacles in reverse. Can we clarify the Page of Wands? The 9 of Cups with the 9 of Swords in reverse. Can we clarify the Queen of Swords, please? So we have the Hermit with the Magician. Reverse. Can we clarify the 7 of Pentacles? King of Wands. And the Knight of Cups in reverse at the back of the deck. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is that it almost feels like you and your person have conflicting ideas or views about maybe what you want for the future with the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. I feel like this is a connection where you're really thinking, do I want to continue to see if this goes in the direction that works for me? Or do I need to decide that, you know, while you might care for this person and there might be love there, is it ultimately going to always be a conflict about what each of you want for the connection? And so I feel like there may be a part of you that is not super satisfied with the progress of things, or you feel like you have put energy, you have had patience to some degree. But with the Page of Wands, it's almost this feeling of entertaining the idea of taking some kind of a new path, or being open to something new, essentially. And I feel like with the 9 of Swords in reverse, it's almost like there might be fear around maybe being able to do this alone. That's something I'm getting, is like, it's almost like there's this fear of really going after what you want in your heart or what really makes you happy. And it's possible that's because there's already been, there could be history in this connection. Like maybe a lot has already been invested into this. But I feel like with the 5 of Wands here, that can also speak to inner conflict or just not feeling resolved, not feeling settled in the energy. And with the 9 of Swords in reverse, it's almost like what's blocking you seems to be like maybe a fear of the unknown or a fear of taking the risk. But there's this energy with the 9 of Swords in reverse of like, if I wasn't afraid, if I knew I could succeed on a new path, I think I'd want to go that way. Because the 9 of Cups can really be about focusing on self and focusing less on the relationship and more towards exploring what makes you feel fulfilled. with the Hermit here, it makes me feel like I was getting this message around if you're honest with yourself and like you're not being influenced by this person's visions or this person's kind of plans, there's kind of this energy that you would maybe what you truly want is actually conflicting with this relationship. Because with the Magician in reverse, it's almost like maybe there's fears around, again, like having the power to really manifest what you want, or feeling like you have enough to go on your own path essentially and manifest your dreams. And it feels like there's this question of, could I really do it alone? Or am I afraid of being alone temporarily? The Knight of Cups in reverse here is speaking to me about maybe feeling blocked from actually taking action toward what makes your heart happy or what feels emotionally resonant to you. Because it feels like something in this relationship doesn't challenge you, or it's like you're looking for something else. It's like you just almost know that you won't be satisfied in the long term. Like maybe there'd be security, or, with the Ten of Pentacles, it's like there could be an energy of this being the logical or like the practical path might be with this person. But I feel like with the Knight of Cups in reverse, it's either you or this person. And switch the energies if it's your person that's been seeming maybe distant or seeming, that's also possible with the Queen of Swords here. It's possible that you're not sure if they are maybe not being upfront about what they're really thinking when they're on their own, or maybe this person, switch it if it needs to be switched. But I could see a scenario in this where maybe you're concerned that your partner doesn't feel satisfied or feels blocked from following their heart. And maybe there's anxiety around this person deciding to choose themselves. But either way, there's this theme around looking at the connection and going, I'm not sure that this is what really fulfills me on an individual level. What would I do if I wasn't afraid and I felt like I could do it? It's kind of like that. And I feel like with the King of Wands can be an energy of like having a vision and having the energy and purpose and spirit. It's like the spirit energy with the fire suit. It's like being passionate towards a vision. It could even be that, I'm going to throw out the scenarios I'm seeing as well. But another scenario that could be happening is one person, like maybe you don't feel like what this person wants, like maybe what their vision is, and vice versa. Maybe it's like you that has the vision and then your partner is the one that's like, I don't think that's a good idea, or like I don't see that working out. You know what I mean? I could see like one person kind of being like, you can't do it on your own, or you will have to do it on, or even just like someone doubting the ability to really bring into fruition someone's vision, And so I just feel like with the Five of Wands, that could be where the conflict is at as well. But maybe just one person not being satisfied with the current trajectory. And it's almost feeling like there's one person in the dynamic that's on the brink of gaining the courage to put themselves first and go toward what they want. And I have several reasons, and there's obviously nuance in every situation, but I have several scenarios where I think walking away is best. And I feel that one of those is around when you get the realization or you get the niggling feeling that you're not going to be fulfilled in the long term in the connection the way it is. And I feel like the first step in that is communicating the truth about how you're feeling and what you really want, and seeing if the relationship can shift in that direction to accommodate for that. But if you have a partner that wants something that's incompatible with what you want, it's very important to recognize that sooner rather than later, or whenever you're having that realization, because yeah, like that's what I'm seeing, is like one person just not being sure. But for the viewer, what is their best next action, Spirit? All right, we have the Hangman in reverse. We have the Sun. The Nine of Pentacles in reverse. Yeah, so what I'm seeing, yeah, the Two of Wands. I do feel like there's someone that's wanting to, like, it feels like there's a crossroads here, and someone's soul really wants to move forward towards something that excites them or something new. And so you are being advised, either way, like what I would say, let's say that it's your partner that's wanting to do something new. I feel like there's a need to feel comfortable with surrendering to that idea with the Hangman, and trusting that there still is happiness ahead for you. Because the Nine of Pentacles in reverse can be a little bit of codependency, or a fear of being alone, or a fear of not having enough for yourself to be happy. And I feel like Spirit's saying to challenge that idea. Let's say it is you that is wanting to move out of a stagnant energy with the Hangman, because I could see the Hangman either being someone needing to surrender to something, like surrender their fears of not being able to move forward, or not being able to care for themselves or be independent or be on their own. But I could also see the Hangman being someone who's feeling at a standstill, feeling stagnant, someone who's already looked at things from a different perspective, and really it's just time to move forward and trust in the vision. So, and just trust that you can do it on your own, and you don't need this person or another person to stand beside you to move forward right now. You know, like, it's not like we need to convince this other person to go in our direction if that's not right for them, you know? And it's just important to not stay in the situation out of, like, not trusting in the better future. The Sun is all about optimism and positive belief, and it's a really happy energy, and it's also a trump card here. So it's like it's coming in to say we have the Sun. So no matter what our reservations or hesitancies are, we need to let go of what's holding us back, because there is happiness ahead of coming out of the stagnation or coming out of a codependency here. Yeah. So overall, either there's someone here that needs to let someone go, and there's also someone here that likely needs to walk away. That's kind of what I'm picking up on. So if you're the person who, you know, is in that position where, yeah, I'm seeing action, by the way, and indecision. So Spirit is really saying that it's not going to be helpful to put off making a decision for yourself. There's a need to take action and move forward and come out of this indecision and make a choice, and to not wait so long, or try to put the decision in someone else's hands. And the way that could happen is like, okay, I'll move forward on this if my partner decides, you know, that they want to go in this direction. So I'll just wait on that. Or, you know what I mean? I feel like there's a need to kind of take responsibility for the decision at hand and go with the Page of Wands. Be courageous enough to head into the unknown. Oh, I did want to clarify as well the Queen of Swords in reverse. Why is the Queen of Swords in reverse? Okay, we have the Lovers in reverse. So okay, what I'm seeing is there could be someone, or this could be you as well, where you're maybe not voicing your truth, or you're not making, it's like the Queen of Swords is asking you to just cut to the chase and cut through, like, cut to the truth. And when we're confused because there's all these different variables, or we allow ourselves to kind of almost procrastinate on the hard truth, or being direct about what we need to be direct about, because it's like, let's say we're afraid. The way that can happen is we may know something, the truth of something, because it's already actually, with the Hermit here, it feels like someone has gone within and their soul is calling them. I also saw Goddess of the Moon, where that can speak about following your emotions and your intuition. But it feels here like maybe we're overthinking it, or we're complicating the situation. But I feel like there's a need to make this decision from a loving place, and just know that delaying, because I'm keep seeing the situation from both sides, and it's hard to kind of decipher. I'm gonna get one more just to for the viewer, the majority here. Why is the Queen of Swords and the Lovers in reverse? This is Gemini energy as well. We have Virgo too. Yeah, okay. So what I'm seeing, okay, there's pretty much a clear message here that walking away is the best thing to do, because yeah, to stand in your confidence, stand in your power. It's like you already know here, because the Seven of Cups in reverse is when you've kind of seen something play out and now you see the truth of it. You've had enough time to get clarity here is what I'm getting. And there may just be a procrastination, or like a fear of just making that jump, taking action towards it. Yeah, leaving your security, maybe afraid of failure or afraid of not having approval. But overall, there's this feeling of wanting to take more opportunities, wanting to expand, wanting to say yes to something new, because this can talk about boredom or even like a stagnant feeling. Yeah. Okay. But anyways, with the Lovers in reverse and the Devil, it's like, it's kind of like this. It's like there's a need. Sometimes the Lover's energy, sometimes it's important to do what's best for you. And that's also a loving decision for another person, even if it doesn't feel like it, you know? And so there could just be this fear of really speaking your truth about maybe not feeling invested, or just not really seeing the long term with this, or not really feeling that you are on the same page. Maybe feeling that you're blocked from going towards something that lights your heart up or makes you happy. And it just feels like there's this overall energy of needing to release like negative thinking or intrusive thoughts or fears around the future if you do go down a new path, because that seems to be what's blocking you the most. Again, it feels like a fear of not being able to do it, not being able to succeed, not feeling like you have everything you need. But yeah, with the Devil here, there's a need to release fearful thoughts that are binding you, and to not make choices out of fear is really what's going on here. And it feels like to stay would be a choice out of fear. And the decision that is the most loving is to come into your Queen of Swords and be very direct and clear cut. You know what I'm seeing as well? I'm seeing this is what's needed. Sorry, that was kind of loud. I'm seeing the sword energy. Yeah, so the knife, the blade, the weapon. So to use the sword is to decide. The blade separates one reality from another. The choice is made and all else falls away. If you find the sword in your grasp, you can no longer hesitate. This weapon requires a clear and decisive mind and a willingness to act. An onlooker may think the sword bearer is hasty and violent, but the most compassionate and responsible gesture is one that is honest, swift, and accurate. Does that make sense? And I feel like there's that fear of maybe hurting the other person, or just maybe there's a resistance to the sword, essentially. So, but what this is saying is that this is actually the most compassionate, responsible thing to do, is to not draw things out, make the decision once and for all, and just cut the tie, instead of slowly getting it to a thread. That's going to be more painful for everyone. Our first encounter with the sword is at birth, blah, 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 blah. This moment defines our separation from her and begins our journey of becoming ourselves. And I feel like that actually is relevant to this, because it feels like there's a journey on the horizon toward personal fulfillment. We must make these cuts again and again if we are to grow. Decisions shape our life, and the sword is an infamous shaper of destiny. So cutting through to what is essential. So it's saying that swing the sword once with precision and commitment. So there's a need to come through in a committed, finalized way where there's no room for changing your mind. It's like you need to get in this set mindset of, I know there's potential, things that we could say, like, we could keep thinking of ways to stay, but I've ultimately made this decision and I'm going to stick to it. And I know it's going to be hard, and it's not coming from a place of malice. It's not, it's actually out of love to say that this is what's most loving for you. I don't want to waste your time, or if this is how I'm truly feeling, it doesn't make sense to keep entertaining, like a level of disagreement, because ultimately it feels like there is a serious conflict when it comes to the long-term potential here of what you're seeing. But it is saying that more than that will be painful for everyone involved. Yeah, and this is also, we have boundary making, prioritizing, and clarifying are all gestures that are made possible by the sword. The sword is a metaphor for the pen and the brush. The artist's fierce and graceful tools. Yeah. So I do feel like that's what's coming through, is this energy of needing to decide. That's why this came through. That's like what was making me think of that card, is this indecision card with action. Like, sometimes the only thing we can do to get more clarity is just to make the best decision at the time for ourselves, and to not worry so much about some of the logistics or some of our worst case scenarios. Yeah, and I'm just actually seeing here, like, there's the moon just peeping through right here with the 8 of Cups in reverse. So it does feel like fears of the unknown, or just like hidden fears are holding you back from what you really want. And it's like there's this need to take action towards that's in alignment with your heart. Let me just get one or two more shuffles. What closing guidance do we need for pile number 3? And there will be an extended reading. I think for this pile, I want to look at both situations. What does your future look like if you choose to walk away? What does it look like if you stay? And let's unpack some of the fears you might be having that we weren't able to go super into detail in this part of the reading. Also, thank you to everyone who hits the like button really quickly. Make sure you're subscribed if you want to. Those are just ways to support the channel that are free and easy. Okay, so for pile number 3, what closing guidance do we have for them? What do they need to walk away with? Yeah, we have the 3rd chakra. There's a need to be confident in yourself. And also the 3rd chakra is the I energy, and it is the ego. And so there's almost this need to be confident in your truth and who you are, and to feel confident in your abilities, and to have a sense of pride in yourself and what you can accomplish, and to believe in yourself. And this is a time where healthy confidence is a good thing. And that might be something that's holding you back, is like a lack of belief in yourself, or not feeling confident in your capabilities. Okay. What else? Yeah, we have the sun. There's just this overall message. The sun energy is who we truly are. It's our authentic self, and it's like putting your truth out there. And I feel like there's this need to stand by your solar plexus, your sun energy. Sun is the self, And it's also an energy here of, look at all this yellow, and to me, it's this optimistic, happy energy where we're confident and we believe in a happy future. We're feeling optimistic. We're feeling in control. Yeah, all tied up, free yourself is what Spirit's saying. That release whatever is holding you back, because it just feels like it's not serving you. And so this could be the relationship, but it could also be like what's tying you to the relationship or making you feel like you can't confidently move forward. And it may be time to address those beliefs and release them. It's whatever makes you feel kind of stuck. It's like the Eight of Swords energy in a way. Realize you can do it, because yeah, that makes a lot of sense here. Because the Eight of Swords is an energy where we are binding ourselves with limiting beliefs, with our thoughts and our anxieties. And the truth being that we're a lot more capable to create solutions or to take action. We're actually free to take the blindfold off. So it's like the Eight of Swords usually has the blindfold where they feel like they can't see what's going on. They feel like they can't get out of their predicament. But the truth is you can get out of your predicament. You can take the blindfold off and you can take action and move forward. Really, you are in power. You do have the power is what I want to say. Can we get one more, please? Yeah, door to personal healing and happiness. And I really do feel, and I'm seeing here just a small note on financial constraints, but ultimately it's time to let go of whatever's holding you back from putting yourself first and your own happiness. This is about your personal happiness and maybe healing as well. But I do feel like what this Page of Wands is truly the path to your happiness. It's like just being confident enough and optimistic enough to trust that by putting yourself first and by walking through this door, that's what you're walking to, is your healing and your personal happiness. And that may be something that is hard for you to choose, but ultimately this is what it is, the new path. And with financial constraints, this can speak to maybe that being a part of the fear is maybe feeling like you don't have the means, or you're afraid of not being able to support yourself or to go at it alone. But this card always makes me feel like, yes, there might be a time period of where you need to budget and, things might for a time period be a little bit tight, but that is going to pass and that will be overcome. And so it's just kind of saying like, yeah, that might be the situation that you're having to downsize in some capacities, but it's only temporary. And ultimately it is leading to your personal healing and happiness. And that temporary financial constraint is worth it. And to not allow the financial aspect to be something that keeps you stuck from choosing your happiness and going for what you want. Yeah, so that's what I have. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys enjoyed the reading. If you're able to hit the like button, leave a comment. Also, for those of you that are interested in the guidance readings, if you can comment down below what topics you really want to see. I'm going to be looking through the comment section of this video, or anywhere else it's been posted, like people suggesting what they want to see. I'm going to take some of the most popular responses and put it in a poll for the members to vote on every other week. And that will be the reading that they see in a week from the vote. So yeah, thank you to everyone who does that. Thank you for your support, and I'll have the extended reading link down below. Other than that, sending you guys love, and thank you for letting me read for you.